you guys talked about your easy answer to cook out? How to deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, we just got to do it later. You know, we just got to do it later, and we haven't talked in detail about that, but it does change our schedule a little bit because we did have it maybe a week or two before we're going to have it this year. So I think we're just going to do it a little bit later, maybe right before the guys get back for preseason camp. I want to say, don't have the calendar in my mind right now, but I think it's going to be a little bit later, and that's really it. So that's how we'll handle that one. Well, it's very important, but it's like that every year. I mean, anytime we can get those guys on our campus, that's what we're looking for. And then we're obviously not just evaluating them at their high schools, but we're trying to get them to come here for not just for them to show them around, but so that we can do a proper evaluation on these guys. And you know, anytime, you know, it's becoming a really, really big camp, but we're able to identify the guys that we've invited specifically, so that when they come, that we're really eyes on them and trying to emphasize those guys throughout the practices. So I don't know if that answered your question or not, but I don't know what you're getting at other than it's a big deal, camp. Oh, no question. And that's the big thing. Like when we go out to these high schools in the spring and we're watching practice, you know, we're dependent on what the drills they're running from their own coaches. And I'm glad you said that, because that's one of the things we talk about. When you come to camp here, not only are we evaluating you, but you're evaluating us as coaches, because you're running our drill. You're going to run our drills, and you're going to see how we coach. And that's the good thing is I'll put them through all the drills that I do with my guys to see if they truly fit.
Texas is a state where that's really close to kind of getting over that hump and really pulling someone out of there.
We are, and you know, I think there's so many kids in Texas. It's such a talented pool of guys that, and we're starting to get a few more guys each year that are showing a ton of interest, and guys that are coming out here for unofficial visits on their own. So that kind of gauges the interest right away. If a kid's going to pay for a trip to come out here and watch a game, then we know that they're interested if they're going to spend that money. And then shoot, so we've had more and more of those guys. So we definitely feel like, you know, we're getting closer and closer with that state.
Social media has had a big impact on recruiting for years, but it seems like this year more than ever, your commits are really out there kind of recruiting other recruits for you.
Yeah.
You know, guys like Mike Jones, Xavier Thomas, and Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
How much easier does that make your job, especially landing those early commitments?
Well, it definitely helps. I mean, you just mentioned some guys that have were on the forefront of helping recruit the rest of the class. And these days, that's a big part of it. I mean, we can tell the recruits a million times how special this place is, but when you're hearing it from another prospect that is committed to that place and knowing that that guy could be your teammate potentially, that's a big deal. It's kind of like us coaches. You know, I can tell them, all right, we're going to throw it here versus man, and they're going to listen to you for a while, but then if guys aren't doing as much, if they hear it from their own teammates, it kind of comes across as a little bit differently, you know, and sometimes it's more powerful, to be honest with you. So I think that's a big part of it, is the class recruiting each other. And you mentioned the social media part of it. I'm just so impressed with our people here, the Jordan Searles and all those guys that do that social media, that head up that social media. You know, Jonathan Gant does an incredible job. And there's a lot of people that I haven't even mentioned that are just critical in that process. And not just to be the best in the country, but to stay the best for a couple years now. And to be continuing to think ahead of the game. And that's what Jonathan and Jordan and all those guys do. Jeff Fellers, I mean, all those guys do an awesome job of staying ahead of the game. That's hard to do because you can be complacent and just let people catch up to you pretty quickly, and we haven't done that.
Dabo said yesterday that Trevor Lawrence was a really low maintenance recruit.
Yeah.
With you being his primary recruiter, what was that like from your perspective?
I mean, it was incredible, and I told him that several times where, you know, when you have such a high-profile guy, usually when you recruit those guys, you got to really, you're worried, I guess. You know, you get worried because they're getting pulled in different directions. And Trevor was definitely getting pulled from all over the country, all right, but he just stuck to his guns and always asked the right questions and always did the right things that we were asking him to do throughout the recruiting process. And it all comes down to communication. He communicated so well with me, and we were up front with him, he was up front with us, and so it made it so much cleaner. And usually when those guys are that clean, that means they're focused and they're ready to go. And so that's what I'm excited about. I know he's got a million people pulling at him, but he's got those blinders that he can put on, and he just goes to work. And so that's what I see in him, and as he gets here, it kind of carries over from that process. It was the same way with Deshaun.
Yeah, he's a big 5-star guy, but when he comes in here, he's going to start off at the bottom of the depth chart. What do you expect from him in the spring? How early do you think he can come in and compete for snaps?
Well, I definitely think he's going to get an opportunity right away, just like all the guys did in preseason camp this past year. So it's the same deal. We preach from day one, you have to earn it, and he's going to have to earn it. He's got a special talent, but I got a lot of guys that got special talent, so it's going to be fun to watch. And what I told my guys today, and what I've been telling Trevor Lawrence ever since we started recruiting him, is just be who you are. Don't try to be anybody else. And I went around the room today and I named them all. I said, you be who you are, all right? And you do your job and do it to the best of your ability. And that's all you can do. If you start worrying about the guy next to you and how he's doing, then that's just nothing but a distraction for you, and it's going to cause you to not be as good as you can possibly be. And our guys in my room have done a great job with the culture of cheering for each other. When you start going against somebody on your own team, it doesn't do anything. It's just going to hurt yourself. So my guys have done a great job of that. We've tried to create that culture in my room.
Coach, you look up and down that commitment list, and you think of a common denominator you can point to all of them when they announce their reasons for committing to Clemson University. There's a number of things you can point to, from the winning to the culture to the facilities. What would be the one common denominator you think that all of them check the box on?
Yeah, I would say the people and the culture. I really think that's what, if it came down to, okay, what was the number one reason? I think they just like to play for the people that are here. They love Coach Sweeney. I mean, how do you not? The energy that you get. And they love the coaching staff, and they love the people that are making that culture. Obviously that goes with the players that are here too. I mean, that's a big part of it. So I would say that would be the top thing.
The quarterbacks, talk about the development, Kelly, this year, from start to finish. His biggest attribute that you've seen this year.
Yeah.
What's the biggest thing you could point out to his game?
Yeah, I really think if I had to pick one thing, it would be his ability to have poise in big situations, because I really didn't know what we were getting. He was never in a big situation until this year. So going into those, for even that first game and then the Auburn game, and he just showed that poise, that the situation was never too big for him. And so that's what I was most pleased about. And then the other thing I have to say would be his consistency. He has been so consistent at managing the game. And that's hard to do as a first-year starter. I mean, that's really hard to do, to be that same guy week in and week out, seeing all the different types of defenses that we see and being consistent. Not perfect, but being consistent. And that's what he's done. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about he didn't let all of the things that Deshaun Watson did create who he is. He just was his own guy. We're winning games so much differently than we did last year, and that makes it pretty cool, pretty special that we can win it different ways. We're managing the game. We're taking care of the football. We're more balanced. We're better in the red zone. We're doing so many different things in a better way than last year, and that's been fun to watch.